Hello guys, it is that panda guy and I hope you guys have missed me. I am back. I have just been a little busy with relationship drama, all that stuff, but I should be back. I heard some people wanted some videos, so I thought I would do this video, and I also want to shout out Shelby before I do this video and thank him because he's such a big help to getting these videos out. I mean, like, I know what I'm talking about, but he helps me get just the information in a better perspective. Gives me more information to work off of. You guys should probably follow Shelby. I'll link him down below. So today we are going to be talking about Seo-ji Na, I don't know if I pronounced that right, and Akami. So we're going to start off with Seo, and basically she is a siege hero, or specifically a siege hero, and compared to Akami, she is worse on the open field. Her rage skill can increase the squad attack by 30% with extra basic damage, and also you need better range military tech to use these, obviously, and if you're going to be using these like as specific main heroes, you might want to focus on your range gear. I mean, just simple stuff like that. Her second skill is going to increase the squad's basic damage by 21% during siege. So it's like only siege, right? Like, you're not going to be getting this type of damage other than like siege. And I also want to mention the first skill I was talking about. It takes 1000 rage, and that builds up over time throughout the battle, and then basically she launches off these 30% attack buff. You saw her second skill. It's a 21% damage boost in siege. So this skill is basically useless, or it is useless on the field. So just one skill that's going to be useless when it comes to field combat. Her third skill is attached to the awaken skill. So basically, I guess when you awaken the so when you do the awaken skill, it goes from, so let's say you have 5 stars on it, it's going to be increases range squad attack by 9% and defense by 9%. It's going to go up to 12% and defense up to 12% as well, meaning that you're going to be taking less casualties, as well as, or at least at a slower rate, and doing more damage. And this is a passive skill, so it's going to just be activated throughout the whole battle, no matter what. Like, if you have this hero up, these buffs are going to be there no matter what, as long as you have the skills pumped up enough. So number 5 is it reduces counter damage. And I've said this before, but I'm pretty sure counter damage is, let's say you're hitting a squad and they're not directly hitting you or fighting you, they might be throwing some counterattack damage back at you to be dealing damage, and it's basically going to reduce the damage you might be taking from that. Next, we are going to be looking at a talent build. I think this build is basically the same that I would go, as well, excluding something else, because I haven't put something else in here. But let's say, so I have page 2 for this one, and it's kind of the same as page 1. So let's say I would recommend doing all of this right here, and maybe if you can, go into this one. Make sure you're, honestly, I would recommend going for the rage attack thing first before you would fill this range squad tree up fully. But yeah, and then also go for this one, and then basically go for these. I would recommend going for a full siege tree because she is a specifically siege hero. Though if you only wanted to use her on field, I'm sure you can adjust her abilities and probably kind of accommodate them somewhat compared to Akami. But I mean, this is specifically a siege hero. I'm also sorry, my dog is kind of growling in the background. This is specifically a siege hero, and I mean, it's not that she's useless on the field, but her skills have less of an impact. She's not going to be as good as compared to like Akami when it comes to field combat, though Akami also is not going to be as good as her when it comes to hitting bases. So it's really a trade-off for each. And now we're going to go swap over to Akami, guys. So she's preferably used against infantry here. Okay. So what he says is she's preferably used against infantry heroes in early game, which I mean is obvious because, okay, guys, I'm so sorry, I was tripping. But yeah, so basically range counters infantry, and I also want to mention that you're going to see a lot of people default as infantry players, at least earlier back in the game, right? And that's just like a normal thing. Like, people just, it's like a default troop, and it's the same for me. That's why I go like range most of the time, because I like to be more of the counter type, because most people are going to use infantry because it's the default troop that you're going to send, default hero. It's just that kind of stuff. I mean, infantry is pretty good in general, I like to say. She's better at open field as well as zombie hunting. She's a pretty good zombie hunter, and you can use her as a support for Maya. But I also want to mention that in earlier game, you're not going to be able to get Maya super easy. So, I mean, it's very understandable that you're just going to be using Akami and possibly Seo, but you also got to consider early game, a lot of these people can't max out a ton of heroes, so you might want to just choose one hero, go with it, and decide to use a support later on. But basically, yeah, that's her. You're going to look at her first rage skill, and basically her first rage skill deals damage up to 3 enemy squads. It's like a fan shape attack. Think of Lee, and I want to say a way to counter this would be sending like one march to tank the damage, force her to fight that march, and then you have the other marches hit her from behind, so that fan damage doesn't hit those other marches, and it can go up to a damage factor of 4,200. I'm pretty sure. Never mind, I lied. So it can go up to a damage factor of 4,200 if you max out the skill. It's going to be dependent on what level your skill is. So yeah, it reduces travel speed by 30% as well for 2 seconds, and I mean that's really considerable, because I want to kind of mention I was doing this thing where I would like hit some marches in the field, and I was like it was on my alts, right, and they would be going like pretty decently fast, and then out of nowhere they're walking at like 1 mile per hour or per year, right? Like it's such a huge tank on their speed. Like I think the 30% speed debuff is actually like so insane, it's underlooked. Like, people cannot get away from that, at least for a bit. Her second skill increases the damage. Wait, there. So her second skill increases the damage dealt to slow targets. Okay, sorry, I was so confused. To slow targeted squads by 16%, and it also increases squad attack by 14%. So I think these are two different situations. So when it does the slow damage thing, basically that's based off her first skill, I'm pretty sure. So when her first skill activates for 2 seconds, your damage increases by 16%, and then the 14% squad attack should be a passive buff that's always there. I'm assuming because of the period that separates them, it's usually the case. Third skill, it increases the damage delta zombies by 30%. That's not really important on the battlefield, so I really would just look over this skill, save it for last probably. And then you can look at her fourth skill, and it increases the basic attack and has a 10% chance to reduce the enemy's travel speed by 50% for 3 seconds. This effect can be triggered only once every 6 seconds. And that's just so crazy. Like, you consider just how, like, it's going to be so hard to escape, especially if you consider all the other possible debuff or speed debuff heroes they might be using. Like, it's going to be so hard to escape as long as these marches get their skills off, you know? I also want to mention that the fourth skill is, or the second skill, I think it's, okay, so basically what happens is the awaken skill for this buffs the second skill. So when your second skill hits level 5, it's going to only do 11% squad damage to the slowed squads, and then a 9% plus in damage to overall. And then after the thing, you can kind of see it here, it goes from 11% to 16%, and then 9% to 14%. That's a pretty big jump when you really consider it. And I'm going to show you guys a good talent tree. So I don't really recommend zombie hunter trees, especially if you're using these as your main heroes. It is not recommended. I mainly do it because these heroes aren't really ones I use, at least as main heroes, right? Like if I use them, it'd just be in zombie hunting. So when you're really building a hero, I'm actually going to try to use, you can kind of see here, this is the way I would build it first off. And then after you build off this, I would try to max out these trees in this order, right? Or not even in this order, but just in general. And you guys can kind of see where I'm clicking. I would try to max these out. I would not go for Victory Pursuit, and I wouldn't go for Death Fight. I mean, you don't really have a ton of skill points to work with, and I'd rather go into these 4 right here. Go that far. I'm trying to show you guys because I don't have like the skill point. So wait, I'm actually going to show you guys here. So after you got your points or whatever, you got maybe the range squad tree built up already to how I kind of said. You're gonna do this part, and then you're gonna go over here and go to the attack, and you're gonna build it like this, hopefully maxing out as many of these skills as possible. But that's a pretty good build, I like to say, for Akami. This is also considering if she's like maxed out. I mean, like, a lot of you guys aren't gonna max her out. She is an epic hero, but I mean, some people might. Never know. I hope this video was helpful. I know I rambled on and my information might be a little scuffled throughout this whole process, but I do hope this video helped you guys, and I really do try to make it as easy and understandable for everybody as possible. So you guys have a good day, and peace out.